Claustrophobic is the word that critics keep using for Markiplier's iron lung. Also pacing issues. Lovecraftian and eldritch are the ones that come to mind for me, besides the obvious, Markiplier. Despite, as many Zoomers are, having been terminally online from a young age, I don't think I've ever actually watched a Markiplier video. He's cameoed in things that I watched before, but yeah, I don't know anything about Markiplier. Despite being just sort of a generally likable presence on the internet and also a meme. I actually didn't even know about the game Iron Lung until like the day before I saw the movie. And when I first heard of the, quote, Markiplier movie, unquote, I had horrible flashbacks to the 2010s YouTuber movie era. So I was like, Lamau. But then I was asked to go see it, so, whatever. I also don't like horror, and so I'm sitting through all these, like, horror movie trailers. I was like, why am I here? It's gonna suck. I don't like it. The real horror was, I thought, going to be having to watch Markiplier act. And then I watched the movie, and it's actually good. It's really good. It's shockingly good, actually. I would say it's like an 8 out of 10 for what it is. And I think that is for 3 reasons. So let me get into that here. Number 1, it's a good horror movie. So I want to look at that briefly, just the horror and the movie part of it. As far as horror goes, it was just creepy and freaky and dreadful in all the right ways. The suspense of being stuck in this enclosed space is really great. The movie does a great job at selling all the different kinds of visceral sensory stuff that add to the bleakness. The grosser body horror things that come in at the end are extremely convincing. There's one visual that just really got me. It's like this blood and like fluid dripping from a speaker. Plus all the slow psychological horror and the personal desperation and the mystery and the danger. It's all just the right balance of everything until it finally just all kind of collides together at the end. As far as the movie part of horror movie, it's just, it's a triumph for everyone involved, from the writing, the direction, the cinematography, the performances, just shots wise. It's constantly doing something cool visually. And I also want to just highlight Markiplier as the actor. Like I said, with like the YouTuber movies of old, I was expecting this to be really difficult to sit through. And he sold it. I think he just embodied this character. You never forget that you're watching Markiplier, or Mark Fishback. But Mark Fishback is a good actor. And that is no small feat, given just how recognizable he is. The part of what made those movies so difficult to watch was just that you kind of knew these people in the context of a extremely dumb comedic situation, or them just being extremely like real and performative, but not acting. And so, yeah, once again, it's crazy that you can take him seriously in this very grim role. Number 2, a real sense of mystery. I had no idea what was going on, and I realized probably an hour or so in, I probably was not going to get answers. I don't remember the last sci-fi or fantasy or just high concept film that I've watched that left me with that sense of mystery. It's weird. Like, as soon as the movie ended, I had this knee-jerk reaction that I pulled out my phone and pulled up the wiki because I was like, oh, I need to find out the lore. And then I was disappointed for a second when there was no real lore. I have no idea. I have no idea what the Ocean of Blood is, or Eden, or the Voices, or literally anything at all. But the more I think about it, the more I really love that. It's cool that I left the theater wanting to theorize, trying to make sense of the movie I had just watched, knowing that I'm not going to get clearer answers, and that I kind of have the space to do what I want with these ideas and just like talk them out with friends, instead of the kind of theorizing that is most common now, predicting what's going to come next, like with Marvel or A Song of Ice and Fire or Star Wars. There's just enough world building and just enough character stuff to make the people and the conflict in this movie feel real, and there's so much left unsaid to make it really interesting. Number 3, it's a movie about a submarine. Because this isn't a big lore movie, the movie is very much just about a guy trying to run a claustrophobic analog submarine. I recently rewatched A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, and if you pay attention, these first 2 Star Wars movies are a lot about people trying to work through these complicated in-universe tech or logistics problems and talking about them. I know that George Lucas's dialogue gets a lot of crap for being clunky and difficult to say, but I actually think that's a huge part of why the Star Wars galaxy is so engrossing. Iron Lung gave me a similar sense. The movie does not take for granted the maddening difficulty of operating this obtuse machine. So much of the tension comes from just the convict trying to solve hardware issues. Even if this weren't a kind of a Lovecraftian horror movie, that techie aspect of it alone does so much for suspense and for drama. I loved specifically the submarine camera and all of the different roles that it and just the button that operates the camera plays. Other notable things are like the speaker, the computer in the back, the crawl space, the different levers and dials and things. It's very easy in a, once again, a kind of a high concept movie like this to take those elements for granted, just speed past them because the real drama, the real action is somewhere else. Instead, Markiplier, who I guess wrote the script, really invested in those elements, and it does wonders. Lastly, I just want to address the criticism of is this movie poorly paced? And that's mostly because I also recently watched Avatar 3, and that is one of the worst paced movies ever, so that's been on my mind. The pacing in Iron Lung is an issue. When you watch a movie, you kind of have this internal clock that switches on, and the movie progresses at a certain rate that you're actually able to predict. And so when a movie feels like it's starting to wrap up, it kind of just needs to start wrapping up. And this movie goes on maybe half an hour longer than you think it should. It feels like it builds to a point and then keeps going. And that's usually not a good thing. But honestly, just because the ending of this movie is what it is, and I don't want to spoil that because it's so bonkers and confusing and bizarre and just worth experiencing, I think it's okay. It's much better than the aforementioned Avatar 3, which it feels like it's supposed to end like an entire hour plus before it actually does. So, and I disagree with the reviews that this stretched its concept too thin or something. I think the pivot from sort of a suspense survival to cosmic horror is really well done, once again, because of the ending. So I think this is worth a watch. Maybe more than one even. So good job, Markiplier. I've reviewed another small passion project, kind of independent, I think it was a independent movie before, Americana, which was expected to do better than it did because of the star power. I've seen some reports that Markiplier is like giving the crew bonuses because the movie did so well. So it's nice to have a kind of reverse situation to Americana, and from such an unlikely source. So that's all from me. Please like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed, if you want to see more things. If you didn't like this movie, I would love to hear from you. I know some people really didn't like it. Yeah, I love discussion. I love debate. God bless. Have a great day.